You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor, subscribe to the channel, leave your comments below, and be sure to smash that like button.
Certain topics are just peak football offseason topics. And then there's even others that are peak college football offseason topics. And one of those is this team's sleeper. I saw it at ESPN today. Sleeper players for college football's top 25 teams in 2025. And while a lot of it is just off-season drivel, I said, you know what? I'll bite. Who do you have for LSU? And I'm glad I did, because I disagree. In this piece, ESPN gathered a bunch of their contributors, and they all contributed guys for different teams. For LSU, it was Harry Lyles Jr., and his sleeper for LSU this year, a potential breakout guy, right, under the radar player, is Barion Brown, the wide receiver transfer from Kentucky. And while I look at Barion Brown and I could say that guy can absolutely come into LSU in 2025, have a big role, contribute greatly, is it really breakout, though? Keep in mind, Barion Brown, already in his career at Kentucky in 3 years, had 2 really productive seasons. What happened was his production dropped in 2024 because of changes on offense. And he's been awesome in the return game. He was honorable mention All-American kickoff returner. He was already the first team All-SEC return specialist as a junior and second team All-SEC all-purpose. And again, 2024 is when his numbers dropped. But if you go back for Barion Brown and you look at his freshman year at Kentucky when he was catching passes, when he was catching passes from Will Levis, he caught 50 balls for 628 yards, scored 4 touchdowns. He was awesome. Levis leaves, but then Liam Cohen returns to Kentucky as the offensive coordinator, and his numbers were almost identical under Cohen calling plays, who's an NFL head coach now. 43 receptions, 539 yards, 4 touchdowns. It was after there was no Levis and no Liam Cohen that you saw him only catch 30 balls for 360 yards, and you saw the numbers dip, and he pieced out for the portal. Barion Brown has already proven that he can be a very productive player in the SEC. And I think he can have a great season for LSU and will contribute in the receiving game and in the return game. But the reason I hesitate to call him a sleeper, the reason I hesitate to call him the breakout, isn't because of what he did at Kentucky. It's because of what LSU has in the receiver room. There is just no shortage. Listen to Joe Sloan back in the spring when he met with reporters and he talked about LSU's wide receiver room.
I mean, from the kind of football that Chris Hilton's playing to what Aaron's doing. I mean, this time last year, raise your hand if you said Aaron was going to be probably one of our leading receivers. Okay, good. I didn't think so, right? Okay, right. And just the way he's attacked this offseason, I couldn't be more fired up. And then to Zay and how the way he's playing. And Kyle Parker, who's, even though he had not able to go full speed, is out there attacking it every day. And then the additions, right? From Fad to Barion to Nick, the different guys that are moving through with some of our young guys. I don't think it's about any one guy. Really, it's about the core of receivers, and I think that's the thing that makes it exciting, because we know we're going to get into the season, and for the type of goals we have as a football team and as an offense, we're going to need the guys to play at elite level, and it can't just be one or two. It's got to be as a unit.
You can listen to that and you can say, oh, it's coach speak. And sure, some of it might be. But I mean, y'all, Nick Anderson was brought in here to potentially be the number one, like your number one. Like that's the type of caliber receiver they think he can be. A guy who could potentially play himself into the back end of the first round. That guy's role is not just going to go away. Like he's going to get his lion's share of targets and receptions and yards and touchdowns. Aaron Anderson was your leading receiver a year ago with 884 yards. He wasn't just a great big play threat. He was also extremely reliable with his hands. He caught 70% of his targets. That guy's role just isn't all of a sudden going to diminish. The dynamic between Hilton and Brown, I find extremely intriguing for LSU this season because they're all very similar. Barion Brown and Aaron Anderson have almost the same skill set. They're almost the same exact size. They're in the same mold. Barion Brown can maybe burn a little bit more, but Chris Hilton can absolutely burn for you as well, past defenders. The dynamic and how the reps are split up between those three are going to be really, really intriguing because, oh, by the way, you still have Bauer Sharp and you still have Trey'Dez Green, who's an absolute freak. And then in the spring, they were working Destin Hill primarily in the red zone, and that could very well be a role for him. It's hard for me to look at anyone in that receiving core for LSU and call them sleeper or your potential breakout because there's so many. How do you define breakout in that room? Like, could you see Barion Brown come in and maybe take more of what Aaron Anderson did and he be the guy with 884 yards this year? Sure. And Anderson maybe goes down to 600? Sure. Could you also see that reversed? Where Brown produces more maybe what he did at Kentucky his first year with Will Levis throwing him the football and Anderson's back right around where he was a year ago with 880 yards, maybe even 900? Yeah, you could see that too. So that's why I just struggle looking at that room and saying, yeah, that's where the sleeper is. It's not to say that I think Barion Brown's going to be bad. I don't. I think Barion Brown's going to be great. I think he's going to be extremely dynamic in the return game. But you just have so many mouths to feed that I think it's impossible to be like, yeah, that guy in the receiving core, he's going to break out. I think that's one of the things that makes LSU great. I think that's one of the things that is going to have Garrett Nussmeier set up for a massive season production-wise in the passing game. It's because he's going to have so many different guys to throw to. We'll see who all ends up getting the lion's share. Now, that's not the only reason I disagree, because I do have a guy that I think is the sleeper for LSU. But for me, he's on the defensive side of the ball, and I think it's Jack Pyburn. And maybe I'm buying into just listening to him talk a little bit too much. But that guy gets me fired up to the point where I want to go run through a wall. And one area that LSU really needed to improve is pass rush. At any time a microphone has been in Jack Pyburn's face, he has talked about wanting to become one of the best pass rushers. That's the last part of his game that he needs to refine, is the pass rush. And if he does that, along with guys like Patrick Payton, Gabe Relaford, like, Pyburn's going to play meaningful snaps on the edge for LSU and could be a really, really sneaky presence off the edge and get to the quarterback a lot. And you could see him increase his draft stock throughout this season. That's what I think of when I think sleeper potential breakout, is a guy who is coming in, who is nasty, mean, physical, but also really fast off the edge and has a singular focus on this part of his game that he wants to improve, and who you know the talent is there because you saw him really be able to wreak havoc in the backfield down the stretch of the season for Florida a year ago when he racked up multiple tackles for loss. He only had the one sack, but he ended up with 5 TFLs on the year. And again, the majority of those really down the final month of the season. That's what I really look at. And again, it's the unit in LSU's defense that everyone's really going to count on to take that next step to allow this LSU team to take the next step. And I think Jack Pyburn is going to be a huge part of that because he's already a stellar run defender. And if he can unlock that pass rush element, you're looking at a guy who could have a massive, massive year. So for me, I go Jack Pyburn there. And again, I think him being on the defensive side of the ball is extremely, extremely important. Doesn't mean there aren't others who could break out for LSU. Oh, Trey'Dez Green could have a massive breakout season. Trey'Dez Green fits that role that Jack Pyburn does. A guy who you saw down the stretch really come into his own and now is going into year 2 in the weight room, year 2 in the system and all of that. But again, it's just the mouths that you're going to have to feed on that side of the ball are going to be plentiful. But Trey'Dez Green will absolutely have a massive season and contribute to winning for LSU. But for me, if you ask one sleeper, I'm giving you Jack Pyburn. I think he is set up for an awesome, awesome year here at LSU for really what's likely is one season.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.